Welcome to episode number 11 of Our Wicked World, Addict Radio. I'm your host, Telegram Sam. This one's been a bit delayed. I took a little bit of a delayed New Year's break, but now we're back and better than ever. So before we get started, let's do this disclaimer thing. This broadcast, this podcast, this show, Our Wicked World Addict Radio, is meant for people over the age of 18 or 18 and over. And as far as disclaimer goes, nothing said during the course of this broadcast should be construed in any way, shape, or form as medical advice or legal advice or political advice of any kind regarding any drug use or illegal activity or any related subjects. If you're considering using drugs or breaking the law, make sure you understand all the legal and medical ramifications and consult your doctor and your attorney. Okay, now let's get to that fucking idiot Russellbrand and his proclamations. Phony celebrity. Not that I love celebrity, the whole concept of celebrities. It's probably just the anarchist in my soul, but I find the whole concept rather offensive. And this fucking idiot Russellbrand, he's supposed to be a comedian, and somebody sent me a post of his where he got on this kick about there's no such thing as gateway drugs. There's only trauma, childhood trauma. Yes, childhood trauma exists. It's true. There's a lot of people who suffer through childhood trauma and the consequences in adulthood and never do drugs. But there is such a thing. It's fucking irresponsible on Brand's part to say there's no such thing as gateway drugs. So that just means he was never an addict. He's full of shit. He did a couple of thin rails of blow at some party, had one cocktail too many and lost his fucking mind, thought he was an addict. You're going to come back and then dictate, philosophize your little top knot and your yoga? Fuck you. You're not even that funny. But there is such a thing as gateway drugs. I've experienced it myself, Now, some people say that gateway drugs is only a theory. It can't be proven beyond the shadow of a doubt in a laboratory setting. But I put enough people in the ground and stood in front of enough tombstones and came up with a lot of people that were naive. They were just kids and went from one drug to another, and it was easy. So to me, yeah, it exists. It really is a dangerous thing to do, to tell people it doesn't exist, especially kids who have no real experience. And they'll just think, oh yeah, I can do this shit then, no problem. It won't lead to anything, just more fun. So the thing is, when I was a kid, I was surrounded by adult alcoholics. I began to drink. I was doing my mother's tranquilizers because I was bored and I was pissed off. I went through this one of the original episodes, on the original podcast, and that led to me doing other drugs, which led to me doing heroin, which led to a long fucking addiction that cut out a big chunk of my life, much to my regret. So this bullshit about there's no gateway drugs, he sounds like that idiot Gabor Mate, that writer who hung around on the edge of kind of like Paulo Coelho bullshit for a couple of decades, just pontificating about whatever at large, and then hooked onto this addiction thing because so many people are fucking addicts that what's his face, Gabor Mate, he started this thing that all trauma is born of all addiction is born of childhood trauma. I think there's a lot of addiction is one of those things that you want to define it as a condition like a heart attack or something, but it keeps getting undefined by people who have different kinds of addictions in different ways, in different circumstances, for different reasons, so you can't really group it all together. That's what pisses off the non-addicts in the world, the ones who want to be experts in the field but have never actually been addicts. It's like writing about war but never having been to war. Yeah, you can have certain observations, you can interview people, you can deduce things from history and so on, but the terror of having been there, down that street, it's not something you can really explain to somebody. And I'm not saying addicts are better. but there is an addict elitism, I got to say, an addict snobbery, and I've been a major proponent of it during my addiction years, where I thought, if you don't have the wherewithal to be a real daily hardcore junkie without ending up on the street, then you just don't have what it takes, man. You just don't have what it takes, which is an insane kind of delusion. Anyway, I think russellbrand is full of shit. I think he's doing this to get attention because he's kind of dropped off the radar. He doesn't really do anything. He was never that funny. He was good looking. I guess some men find him good looking. I think he's a weep. And Mate, Mate I think has been full of shit for a long time. I'm not saying that drinking and taking a few pills and smoking some dope and even doing some lines, whatever, is going to make you move on to the next drug and move on to the hard stuff and become a hardcore addict to opiates. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying it's a possibility. These are gateway drugs. It doesn't mean you have to go down that road. You have to go through that gateway, but it is the opportunity to do so. Because you become acclimatized to getting high. That's all it is. It's like, getting this high, I can even get higher, man. It's no big deal. You move up the stages. That's the gateway, really. Smoking weed, does that take you to narcotics? Not always. In fact, maybe not even most often. But it can do it. I used to smoke a lot of hash when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. Hash was big then. Smoked some weed. There was all kinds of shit around. Did some pills and whatever. And then, so when it reached the point when I was like 18, 19, whatever it was, and I got the opportunity to do hardcore narcotics, to do heroin, it wasn't a big leap for me. I'd already done all kinds of pills, acid, mescaline, quaaludes, whatever, smoked all kinds of shit. So it was not a big jump to try this shit out. And it just, for certain people like me, it just touched something in my brain, in my cortex, that said, this is it. This is what works for me. This is what makes me feel whole. This is what makes me feel calm. This is what makes me feel like life's worth living, man. Of course, there's the rising cost of diminishing returns, as I always say, so eventually the drug turns on you, right? Like Lane Staley, the late great singer of Alice in Chains, once remarked, eventually the drugs will turn on you. That's a sad fucking story right there. Very sad. Lane Staley was the singer and died far too young after they did some great music. Anyway, I won't go get all maudlin about that. Point is, it does turn on you eventually. So, as far as russellbrand goes, I stick by the belief that I think this is like some manager or some PR asshole behind him going, yeah, do this, man, like make this statement, say this. I don't think he thought of this off the top of his head, unless he read 3 pages of Gabor Mate on some flight somewhere and decided to shoot his trap off. This guy was never a fucking addict. I don't buy it at all. I think he's completely full of shit. I think he's just cashing in somehow. Because, that's the thing. Addiction is one of these things that's become so fashionable. Because chances are you either are an addict, an addict, know several addicts without maybe even knowing they're addicts. Because most addicts are very high functioning. They just look like anybody else. It's like they're aliens who look like anyone else. And we function throughout society. You have this secret thing going on, the secret society going on. We meet in, remote places, exchange money for this stuff, and go in the bathroom and shoot dope and snort powder and whatever, take pills, and then follow it with some shooters, and the trip. I've already been down this road with this story. And that reminds me of the Our Wicked World Mailbag. People want to hear more from that, more stories of drug-induced mayhem, madness, and stupidity. So we'll be back in a minute with that. This is Our Wicked World Addict Radio. I'm your host, Telegram Sam.
Your head in 4 directions. Cause biting my shit, bitch, is out of the question. One dude did it and he's sorry about it, but his jaw's broke now, he can't tell you about it. It's a serious situation, I'm spitting the conversation, and carbon copy in mind is asking for confrontation. Immediate altercation with serious implications. So much so that explaining is causing me hyperventilation. I ain't playing, this is serious. Speaking delirious, you suckers got us furious. Always trying to mirror us. There ain't no clearer us, so we just here to clear the dust. Through my Kenneth Cole Black, I can smell your fear of us. In case you ain't hearing us, I'ma make it clearer. I'm twice as superior as you are inferior. Okie dokie, you like my shit trick, but watch what you say and don't bite my shit, bitch. Get ready to die. Get ready to die.
All right, we're back. Our Wicked World Addict Radio. I'm your host, Telegram Sam. And dive into the Our Wicked World Mailbag. Oh, but before I get to that, I'm getting these video messages from someone called Heather. Heather, do me a favor. Stop sending me these Post Malone videos. I hate to even say that fucking idiot's name. He's just some auto-tuned, dumpy little creep. You know, all this shit sounds... It's just like commercial garbage. Why do you listen to that crap? It's like ear poison. For Christ's sake, Heather, come on. I get you were a hardcore meth head and everything, but come on, it hasn't addled your brain that much. If you need some music to listen to, just email me, and I'll send you a couple of tracks from CC Mixter and whatever. Because there's lots of good stuff around. People are producing all kinds of great stuff. You don't need to listen to that crap. That shit's for the fucking squares. Which reminds me, if you do have a letter to send, a message, whatever, a comment, etc., you can send that stuff to ourwickedworldradio@gmail.com or visit the website ourwickedworld.com and buy a t-shirt or some other tchotchke or whatever, some other fucking thing with our brand on it, our cool sort of sinister brand, and you can help support this ship of fools we're on. All right, so now where was I? Oh yeah, nobody wants to hear about the politics and the investigative journalism around addiction. From the mailbag, I see that people just want to hear stupid shit. Although there is one question, actually a couple of people asked this question that's more practical. And that is, how do you deal with cotton fever? Now, for those who don't know, cotton fever is for people who have an injection drug habit. And what happens is they get a little piece of cotton batting or a pinch of a cigarette filter. Even you can use tampons, are pretty good. Just take a little tiny bit. We're talking about something like a quarter size of a pea or something, right? And you put it in the spoon and you put the syringe in the cotton and you draw it out so you filter, right? So you don't get any shit in the syringe to clog it up or clog up your veins or whatever. Now what happens sometimes is people don't cook the stuff sufficiently, and or they just don't use a clean rig or don't use a clean spoon. And a lot of times people won't clean their spoons. They think there's a residual stuff in the spoon, and this happens a lot with oxys because there's so much shit left over from oxys around the edge of the spoon. You just get all this fucking crap that's in there, like the actual effective drug, the narcotic, the opioid of an oxy is a tiny part of it. Most of it is just like aspirin type shit, chalk. Just crap. I hate those fucking things, but they're okay in a pinch, of course. Anyway, point is, you get this. What happens is you get some bacteria through the cotton into the syringe, and then you inject it, and you get this thing called cotton fever, which is a kind of fever. You get the shakes, you get the aches, you get a blazing fucking headache, you get the chills, you're freezing, you're shaking. It's fucking sucks. I mean, it won't kill you or anything, and it's, not lethal. It'll go away after a while. Some people say doing another shot helps. Yeah, I think that's kind of possible, I guess. It just depends how much you've already done. You don't want to OD yourself trying to stop cotton fever. I think it's more of a preventative thing, right? Like, what you want to do is, I know a lot of people don't like to do this. Boil the fucking shit in the spoon. Like, I don't mean boil the fuck out of it so you kill it. I mean, like, more than just 1 or 2 bubbles. Actually, let it bubble a little bit so you kill off some germs, right? Because otherwise, you're just heated up enough to melt, liquefy whatever in there. You're giving yourself a good chance to get cotton fever. And don't use old bloody cottons, Like, I know people think there's dope in them. People save their cottons. Yeah, use a clean rig. Use distilled water. I don't know who's going to fucking do that, right? I've used fucking puddle water at times. I've used urine, for Christ's sake. I had no other water. And that burns the fuck out of you. But it did work, though. They say a pregnant woman's urine is less acidic, burns less if you shoot it. I mean, is that sick or what the fuck? Am I talking some sick shit here? Using a pregnant woman's urine to shoot dope because you can't find any water. It's like, where the fuck were you, man? In the Mojave Desert? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so you don't want to spend that $1 on getting a bottle of fucking water. Oh my God, I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Anyway, so I think it's preventative. Cook the shit. Use a clean cotton, clean fit, clean spoon, etc. And if you do get the cotton fever, one thing I found that kind of helps is if you shoot 4 or 5 full fits of distilled water. And cool, not hot, cool. And I don't mean like cold, like cool, right? And take some Tylenols, even like Tylenol 1s will help with that blazing fucking headache, that migraine that comes on. And there's Tylenol for fever. So you take, a couple of those. I think it's Tylenol 1 for fever or something, so it alleviates some of the pain. I mean, it's not going to go away totally, but it's at least going to, cut it down somewhat. I found that distilled water seems to dilute your blood enough. I don't know, maybe it's just psychological. I got no real medical proof on that, but it's helped me in the past. Mostly you just got to ride it out. And a lot of people just end up doing another whack, and then they just feel just as bad or worse because they're still using the same dirty cotton. Now, here's the other thing I forgot to mention. Don't use cotton batten, like those cotton balls you get. They're they're not dense enough. So those little fibers come off, and they might end up getting into into the fit and into your bloodstream and whatever. So little bits of those. We use a pinch of a cigarette filter or pinch of a. You know how dense tampons are. They're super dense, and the denser the better, right? So you don't have any shit breaking away. At least that's the theory. And whenever I've used cotton balls, I've always had a problem with cotton. Not always, but often enough that I stopped using cotton balls. Even if you scrunch them right up, there's still just not much to them, right? So I recommend cigarette filters. People say, they're whatever, got all kinds of shit in them, but they're dense enough. And tampons. Like whatever the fuck tampon's made out of. Anyway, point is, there's steps you can take to avoid it in the first place, which is really what you want to do, right? So no cotton balls, tampon or cigarette filter. Let the shit boil a little bit at least, so you're killing most of the germs. Clean fit, clean spoon, all the usual standard bullshit. And these days, man, you walk into any clinic, they'll give you a bag of fits and shooting kits and all that horse shit. It's spoons and fucking little weird square spoon type things and cottons. Those weird they look like little tiny cigarette filters, right? And yeah. All that crap, the vitamin C powder, all that shit to cook it with, the clean water in a little tube, so you can get shooting kits pretty easy. Some places like, I think in Montreal when I was there one time, for $1 you get like, I think a dozen fits and the whole kit and the whole thing from any drugstore. I think it's a law or something. There's a few places where they do that. I think in Vancouver, Seattle, Frisco, parts of LA. I think I was even in St. Louis once, and they had those. I think in every drugstore I went into, they had some sort of shooting kit. Anyway, the shit's available, so just do what you can to avoid that cotton fever. And that's my little spiel, on how to avoid making yourself fucking sick like that and ruining your nod and wasting that fucking good dope, right? I'm not promoting the use of drugs. I am promoting the safe use of drugs. It's called, for those, fucking stick in the ass purists out there, it's called harm reduction. Because in the end, you're not going to often get a guy or a woman who's been an addict for a long time, a hardcore daily user, and they're going to suddenly go, oh, okay, yeah, I quit, I stopped, that's it. So you got to reduce the harm to them, the harm to those around them, the harm to the whole community, by being realistic about their addiction and doing things which mitigate it, which make it less dangerous and less destructive for everyone involved. That's the goal of harm reduction. I went through harm reduction with a fucking fantastic doctor. The guy's a saint, genius. I didn't believe any of that shit. I was cynical. And he finally convinced me. It took a couple of years, but I finally got off the shit through this harm reduction process. And he basically just slowly integrated me back into the community. I didn't even realize what was going on. But I was doing less and less stupid shit, less and less petty crime, and less drugs, and more being involved in the lives of people I cared about, or I did care about before I was a fucking hardcore, selfish piece of shit addict. So that's what it's called, harm reduction. Look it up, read about it. No one, or very few people are just going to, bam, stop, that's it, first time. And if you relapse, it's okay. It's okay. You're not, deficient as a human being. It's just a fuck up. You can get over it and start again. If you got like 10 days clean, 50 days clean, whatever, 100 days clean and you fuck up, people fuck up after 10 years, so they fucked up. Everyone fucks up. You're not perfect. You're only human. Give yourself a fucking break. And then start again. You know what that road is. You've been down that road of quitting. And you don't want to get yourself all wired to the tits again and then go through those first couple of weeks, first couple of months of serious fucking quitting. Although you can use mitigating drugs like Suboxone and methadone and so on. So there are far more possibilities now to be treated. There's even, medical cannabis has options for people. There's all kinds of stuff. If you listen to a couple of the older podcasts I did, previous podcasts, I had Anthony Smilas on. He's a medical cannabis advocate with Carthian Medical Group, and he had a lot of great advice, so go back and listen to some of that. I'm not going to repeat it here. So, that's my spiel on cotton fever and harm reduction for the moment. I'm going to play another song. This is Our Wicked World Radio. I'm your host, Telegram Sam, back in a flash.
Have to get away from the Babylon. Get away. Get away. Get away. I know that we are leaving. I know that we are leaving. Leaving Babylon, leaving Babylon system. Leaving Babylon, leaving Babylon. Leaving Babylon, leaving Babylon system. Leaving Babylon, leaving Babylon. Babylon is negative and we are positive. We have one life to live and we want to live it free. Not in the memory of how it used to be before the myth was coming up about efficiency. And this year living making numbers out of you and me. Tonight we forget about it in a party, but on a Monday we're part of the machinery, functioning well on the chain, and this not how it should be. We have one life to live, so let's be constructive. We only survive when we're leaving, we're leaving. Leaving Babylon system. Leaving Babylon
Okay, we're back with Our Wicked World Addict Radio, and I'm your host, Telegram Sam. And let's reach into the Our Wicked World Mailbag. Once again, I have a few sound effects. Go pull one of these letters out, even though it's actually all on email, but got some paper sound effects. Actually, I did print them out. Where are they? Okay, here we go. All right, this is from Jorge in El Monte. Hey, the old stomping grounds. Oh, man. Jorge writes, hey, Pachuco, this is part question, part comment. I quit 46 days ago, used Suboxone and CBD oils to come off 13 years on junk. I thought I'd see how the gringos do meetings instead of staying here in the hood. Went to a room in Venice, and man, was another world. All of them so pricey looking, high-end apparel. And I got suspicious that out of the 15 people there, maybe half were fake. I heard that some players fake addiction and go to these meetings in Blanco, LA to meet movie music business big shots and help their career, meet all the stars and all them. You think that's true? Love the show, brother. And I think I know who you are, but I'll keep my mouth shut. Keep on keeping it real, Jorge. Hey, Jorge, thanks a lot, man. Great letter, and appreciate the kudos. So, yeah, the fakers, you know what, in a way I don't blame them, right? Like, it's so hard to break into that kind of business because it's so about fucking elitism and egos and all that shit. And people's like, goes all to their heads. They think they're fucking something because they managed to repeat a couple of lines on some shitty TV show or movie or put out some fucking auto-tuned bullshit music. So it's hard to break into, and it's from what I've heard. I mean, I used to put out to a couple of music and movie type people who were fairly peripheral, but they would always tell me it's pretty random. It's really, you can, as I think it was Lana Del Rey said it, but I think Marilyn Monroe said it before her, and probably some stars before that said, you can fuck your way to the middle, but you need a kind of random break to get any higher than that. Because all talent at a certain level becomes kind of the same. Right? You have your fans. I mean, it's all down to studios, promotion. I mean, I play some great fucking music on this show that no one's ever heard. That if it had any promotional money behind it, would be huge. But that's just the way it breaks, right? Anyway, Jorge, yeah, I'd say that rumor is one that I would say is true. Because, yeah, people do anything to get into the business, and faking addiction, like who's going to challenge it? You go in there, you cry, you tell your little story, everyone nods and cries with you and pats you on the back, hugs, blah, 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 and they just happen to be big shots in the movie, entertainment, whatever, bullshit business. So, they, you get in that way, right? They trust you, they hear your whole bullshit, right? Because, okay, maybe the guy's done a couple of lines, whatever, drank a bit too much, but never really. And you know what? I get the feeling, I've been to enough meetings, I get the feeling there's a lot of people who were never really addicts. They're just, they just want some validation. I mean, addiction has become this huge crutch now, this social crutch, which is kind of an excuse for doing anything. Being any kind of fucking idiot that, I was an addict, right? So you need all this sympathy, and it's like a part of the whole victim culture thing, right? I mean, because addiction is hard to define, as I keep saying. Like that russellbrand idiot, trying to say it's all childhood trauma. Yeah, sure, it's that. It's a lot of things. It's all theories. Nobody has ever proven what exactly causes addiction in every single person, because there isn't any such thing. It all depends on so many fucking factors. So yeah, to get back to your point, Jorge, I'd say your instincts are correct. And say hello, give my love to everyone in the old hood. And yes, you probably do know who I am, but I appreciate your discretion. So that wraps up another episode of Our Wicked World Addict Radio. I'm your host, Telegram Sam. And as Jorge said, do yourself a favor and keep on keeping it real, kids. See you next time.
We can take your time. Hope it seems you mistaken me for someone who cares. I'm just a dirtbag under the weather and overrated. Seems you mistaken me for someone who cares. I'm just a dirtbag under the weather and overrated. Living underground, taking it to the sea. Making money, not knowing what it means. I'm a liar, set shit on fire. Take your time talking down to all your friends. Living with the little dogs and now the best. It's hard to find it, but I don't mind it. It seems you mistaken me for someone who cares. I'm just a dirtbag under the weather and overrated. Seems you mistaken me for someone who cares.